Good morning, everyone. It's good to be with you again on Saturday. I want to mention that Rhoda is not able to be with us this morning. She has some family commitments, but our prayers are with her. And I do have joining us in the studio this morning for this broadcast something that I hear all the time from community members as I go door to door all across this city. How can a mayor and a city council work together? That's what this show is all about, how we work together to change Flint. And in the studio this morning is City Council President Jim Ananick. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
So we want to get right into this. For anyone out there, you know this is a call-in show. We deal with real issues, real concerns. You can reach us in the studio here at 239-5733. A question for me, Dane Walling, or City Council President Jim Ananick. But Jim, let's get right into what it's going to take for a mayor and a city council to work together effectively. Now, what do you see as the ideal relationship between the council and the mayor?
I think that's a good question. Unfortunately, over the past few years, we weren't anywhere near ideal, but I think we can easily get there. I think a lot of it is consultation. The council people having an open dialogue with the mayor and his department heads, and the mayor and his department heads having an open dialogue with council people. The one thing council members don't like is to get surprised by things, and the same probably being the case for the mayor. So I think it's just an open, honest dialogue. I think that's the best way to go.
Mm-hmm. And on a specific, issue, the city council has some responsibilities that it has to undertake. We talk about city contracts, for instance. The mayor and the executive office has a role in the purchasing and in the protocols, but then that's something that ends up being a final decision by city council.
Yes. Yeah, I think the council has to make sure that we don't think that we're trying to operate as the executive branch. We're a consultation body. We take the recommendation of the administration if it fiscally makes sense, and if it's everything's up to snuff, then it's our responsibility to generally approve it. I know we can obviously have dialogue back and forth, and the more important contracts and the bigger appointments, if there's a dialogue prior to that, it's a lot easier. Sometimes with the leadership of the council, and so I think that's a lot of the ways that sometimes in the past it appeared there was a bigger issue. It just may have been a disagreement about whether this company deserved the contract or not. And in the past there was some no-bid contracts and things like that that just don't smell right, and I don't imagine that being the problem in your administration at all, so I can't imagine there being any problem with that.
And we'll definitely be doing business the right way. We won't hire people to cut grass and call it an emergency expenditure. We know the grass grows every spring and every summer, and we're going to lay all of that out in advance and make sure we go through those conversations, because I know that in a healthy democracy, we're not going to all agree all the time.
Sure.
But we're going to talk about our differences as adults and be respectful. And I know that I've been asked about specific commitments to attend city council meetings, to be involved in that process. I've said that I will be. As a mayor, I don't see that I need to make a commitment to attend every single council meeting.
No.
Because there's a process that we can work individually, and also the executive office. This is about a lot more than a mayor.
Sure.
And what's at stake in this election is not just a single person. It's really about a whole team and a whole coalition. And I know, Greg, you and I have talked about this, that together, the whole team is going to be working with city council. It's not going to be just one person's responsibility. What are some ways that you see other city department heads and other personnel making sure that city council has the information and the conversation that they need to make good decisions on behalf of the people, because that's what they're really in place for?
What I'd like to ask Councilor Ananek is do you feel that if some dollars were allocated toward training with City Council, would that be advantageous? Making sure that all of the councilmen get the basic tools. I know the administration gets that. Does that make any sense to you?
I do think it makes sense. Yeah, we started a little bit of training when I first got elected. Michigan Municipal League, harder to say than I thought it would be, came in and did a training with us. We brought in some experts from political science department at Western Michigan, and it helped sort of speed up the learning curve. I think that's very important because, very few people that are in government and city council, especially the first time they've been elected, have ever been elected anything before. And there needs to be an understanding about what the role of the legislative branch is so that members don't overstep their role, and what the role of the executive branch is to make sure that we're not giving too much up. Either there's a dialogue and a two-way street. And, and what Dane also mentioned, I think it's also important that as long as members of the administration are there, I understand people have a concern that the mayor may be at some of the council meetings, or I think if you went to all of them, I think you'd be wasting your time. But if there's an issue with the parks director should be there to answer those questions in an open dialogue in front of the public. If the mayor came and was able to answer specific questions about, when Cook Park was going to be mowed, I seriously think you're micromanaging a little too much. So, I think it's important to have a good deal of training and an interaction of open interaction with the administration. But I think that the mayor should be open to the council members, but I don't think he necessarily has to be at every council meeting. I think that'd be wasting resources.
Do you think, and I'm only asked because in my observation of city council meetings I've gone to, either ones I've observed on Comcast, it appears to me that when you have such a young city council, and when they're that having that additional training, and I often wonder if maybe in some cases there could be joint training between the administration and city council so that everybody's on one accord.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
I think so. Yeah, because I think that if you train together, that doesn't mean that we're automatically going to think alike.
Right.
It means that we're going to have an understanding of how the process is going, and that we can have our different disagreements during the process, but that we can continue on the path towards rebuilding our community.
And it's so key to work together in these ways, and we all know from whether it's athletic leagues or any kind of committee at the church or other community organizations that the more people can understand where everyone is coming from and the better understanding of the common process that's in place, the more effective that can be. And I want to skip ahead because one specific commitment that I've made is that beginning on the first day in office, I'll sit down with every available council person and talk about my commitment to getting this city open for business. And this is one where I could see this joint training playing a major role because we not only need to know the parliamentary procedures and rules of the meetings, but we all need to have a very detailed understanding of the rules and regulations and ordinances that our businesses here in this community are facing, because that's what we need to streamline. We need to make it easier for businesses to start up here and to grow and expand in this community. And that means that we'll have to do serious work with the ordinances and put together a comprehensive piece of legislation. And that will only be effective if it's based on the laws and regulations that are in place. We have to know the system that we're changing, and that's why I've committed to that process being joint, being a combination of the council and the mayor working together. It's not going to be one side or the other pushing an agenda. It's going to be all of us working together on that real change.
You know, Dane, I concur with you. One of the things I've observed is that what we have is a living document. I'm not really sure how long the charter has been around, but I know it has been around for a long time. But I think it reflects a population of 200,000 and a host of other different issues that may not necessarily altogether be totally relevant today. What are your thoughts?